Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to our virtual tours. I'm really excited this weekend. We've got quite a few virtual tours coming up. Hey guys, I see our guests have already joined us, so I am going to go ahead and invite them in. Coming on. Hi, Hugh.
Hey, how's it going, Jill?
Great, how are you doing?
Good. I've never done this before, so thanks for this new technology you're showing me.
Well, you're doing a great job so far.
Thanks.
It's awfully snowy out there on the peninsula, isn't it?
Yeah, if we had started the video a couple hours ago, you would have seen great big snowflakes. Still actually snowing. It's supposed to switch over to rain here at some point.
Well, I see we've got a bunch of people that have started to join us. So if you're ready, I'll get my preamble out of the way, and you can tell us a little bit about what we're seeing behind you in a minute.
Yeah, go for it.
Good?
I'm ready when you are.
My name is Jillian, and I'm the owner of Uncorked Tours, and we've been offering these virtual tours with New Brunswick producers for the past 2 weeks, giving you the opportunity to see what your favorite cider makers and brewers are doing in our new normal here. So today we are at Yip Cider on the Kingston Peninsula, and we are going to be chatting with Hugh Mackay. And I am just super excited to see your nature out there, Hugh. Thank you for joining me.
Hey, you're very welcome. So I'm just standing here at the lower part of the orchard. The opposite side of the orchard is the river, which I'll show you in a minute. And we're just looking at a bunch of snow and trees, we've been pruning the apple orchard over here for last month or so. Got about another week to go. And I'll show you a new baby tree.
A baby tree?
I don't know if you can see that. Can you see a young tree there?
Yeah, it's so tiny.
Yeah, so planting new trees where we can in this orchard. There's not a lot of room left, though, but we have another spot up the road where we're planting more trees, which are specifically designed for, the orchard, I should say, is designed for to produce cider apples. This orchard here is a traditional one, which mainly has what we would call dessert apples, like eating apples, but we can also make cider out of those.
So we're looking at a lot of trees there, and they look to be, fairly aged. How long has this been an orchard where you're standing right now?
That's a good question. I don't know the complete answer, but I can tell you my family's involvement with this orchard started in 1964 when Yip, the namesake of our company, that was his nickname. His name was actually Hugh also, but Yip bought the farm in 1964, and it was like a lot of other typical farms at that time where they had a few apple trees and maybe a potato garden, vegetable garden, root vegetables. Maybe they had some pigs and just a little bit of everything. And his main thing was going way back. The guy owned it before Yip did. He had a license to net sturgeon off the point. So, sorry. He had a license to net salmon. I was thinking about sturgeon when I said that. Yeah. So he would net salmon, and then he had this cool spot dug, like this big hole dug in the ground where a natural spring came up, and he'd keep the salmon alive and fresh there. And when someone needed one, he'd trade salmon for something else. And that was his sort of livelihood. Yeah, I like that. I like telling that story. I think it's really cool. Can't imagine having a license to net salmon in the St. John River.
Not these days, right?
No.
So that was in the 60s that your grandfather got the orchard from the salmon netter.
Yeah, something like that. He bought it from a guy who got it from the salmon catcher, and the guy who Yip bought the farm from, his last name was Beasley, and there was a bit of a connection there. Yip's uncle served in World War I with Mr. Beasley, and so he was aware of Yip, at least by name, like who the family was, and agreed to sell him the farm. And I hope you can hear me. It's pretty windy.
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay.
You're a little toppy, so maybe walk a little bit more slowly, but yeah, we can hear you.
So, so Yip bought the farm in 64 and planted a lot of apple trees. And then, so there was a little orchard here, much like you'd see in a lot of farms, where they'd have a few apple trees, you know, maybe anywhere from 1 to 20, I don't know. But you wouldn't have seen probably a lot of commercial apple farms like way back in the day. It would have been just everyone had apple trees. And as you drive around the peninsula and a lot of places in New Brunswick, you will see apple trees everywhere off in the woods and old gnarly looking trees that have grown up on old properties. And that's just because apples were prolific. I'm going to turn around and show you the river here.
Yeah, and it's so true about apples, right? I mean, if you look at where the big orchards are that are still operational, and imagine all of the apple trees that would have been around there, you know, 100 years ago, or even 60 years ago. It's really pretty intense. They grow so well for us here, right?
yeah, we have a great climate for apples. So I'll just quickly show you the river here. The river's up 4 feet since Sunday, and I'm sure you remember this beach from the little trip party we had last year.
Vaguely.
There's a nice picture of you with my brother Joe on Instagram.
Well, we might share that after the tour.
I don't know if I took that picture or your sister did, but it's a doozy.
I think everyone took that picture, Hugh.
So, yeah, and we don't do that all the time. That was a special day.
That was a special day. What Hugh's talking about, the boys at Yip invited a few of us in for a canning party, but they didn't let us work. They just let us take care of the cans that were improperly filled, which was fabulous. I felt like I really contributed to your business that day.
Yeah, and you guys were excellent guests. You brought lobster, and that was quite a time.
But I hope we can do it again some year.
Yeah, I think it's a tradition. So this year will be the second annual.
Yeah. Hopefully it's in person. We don't have to do it over Instagram.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Should I go inside now to show? You said you wanted to see the store.
Yeah, let's go in. I actually have a nice can of Yip here that I was waiting for the right moment to open. Okay. But perfect. I think if you're up for it, we should have a little toast together, and we can talk about the cider. And
I'll do that.
Well, I know why you love Yip. I mean, I'll start with why I love Yip.
Thank you. I'd love to hear why.
So I decided to go with the Yip Original, which is a really nice dry cider. And if you guys caught our podcast with the red-headed beer guy from up north, we were drinking this then too. So please don't judge me for liking it so much that I drink it twice in a week. But the thing that I really love about this one in particular is that it came out originally as a dry, clean, crisp cider. At a time a few years ago when we were still seeing a lot of sweet ciders on the market. And so I was always looking for dry, and you guys hit it with this one. So I'm going to be drinking the Yip OG for the rest of our time together.
Perfect. I like it. So I will, don't usually drink on the job, but I'm going to crack into that's not true. I drink on the job all the time because I have to taste test. But, not in excess, just a little bit here and there. Just to make sure.
Control.
So I'm having a hop.
Well, cheers, Hugh.
Cheers.
So why don't you maybe tell me a little bit about your story and how you're involved with Yip Cider and where kind of that passion and that drive to move the family business from an orchard to a cidery. How did that come about for you and your family?
Yeah, great question. So we talked about the history a little bit. Yip bought the farm in '64, and I should have grabbed the bottle. Maybe we'll go out to the store and it might be kicking around out there. But I don't know if you know what a demijohn is, like a mini carboy.
I can imagine.
It's just this little glass. Well, like it's actually a big glass bottle. Where he would experiment with cider, and he actually had a label made, and it said Yip's hard apple cider, alcohol content unknown. So and so he was this sort of, he was more of a hobby farmer. It was a side thing for him, but he was very passionate about it, and so he would share that with friends and family. And so we have these bottles kicking around. Wasn't at all a commercial thing. So fast forward to, my dad Chaz has been planting apple trees here ever since Yip passed away in '86, and even before that he was working here a little bit. So in 2016, my brother Joe found a cider school in southwest England in Herefordshire. And I never know if I'm supposed to say Shire or how you say that. But so we all went over there to take a cider course, and then sort of crystallized when again Joe wrote a business plan and put a lot of ideas that were swirling around to paper and really got organized. And this farm would support like one person. It's a one-man kind of farm, in its previous incarnation, is that even a word? Incarnation? Yeah. So before the cidery came, it was an apple farm, and so the plan was to create a value-added product out of apples, which obviously would be hard apple cider. It's you can make apple pies, candy apples, all kinds of things you could do, but I think hard cider is probably the best thing you could do, obviously.
I would agree with that. And I see we just got a little heart from somebody watching. So at least one other person agrees that hard cider is the best thing to do with apples.
Awesome. Great. That's Rachel. Hey, Rachel. So we've been 4 years at it now. And like you said, so you hit the nail on the head with exactly what we're trying to do. And I'll put my hand on a Bible and say I didn't try to get you to say that, because we didn't even talk about this before. But we tried to make a dry, crisp, refreshing cider, and we're trying to go with the traditional English dry cider, and something that we can make predictably and be consistent. And that's not to say we don't have fun on the side and make all kinds of experimental cider and try to make funky things and get crazy, but we want to put out there to the good people in New Brunswick and hopefully beyond, something that is a good dry cider. And we thought that although it wasn't, there are some people making dry ciders, we wanted to really focus on that and go even drier. And sort of, because it seemed like the appreciation was there among cider drinkers, and that's what we wanted to do. And it was a bit of a risk, but all the people that we talked to said, yeah, go for it. Like, we like that. We like the dry stuff. We don't want to drink sweet, syrupy stuff. I won't mention any names, but cider's come a long way since we've entered the industry 4 years ago.
Do you find, I guess on that same note, do you find that your customers have a more sophisticated palate now than they had a few years ago? I mean, I know you've got a wider offering now, so do you find people are moving kind of along that sweet to dry scale?
Yeah, that seems to be the general trend coming out of the United States and Canada. And so it's served us well, and we're trying to really, like people, we want to keep changing and coming up with new stuff, but we we're happy that we started out with a good, dry, crisp, clean cider, and that will never change. But we can add on to that and keep doing other things. And yeah, for sure, people's taste has changed. We have a U-pick here in the fall, which has been good because people come down here and they see, oh, they're selling hard cider, and they come in to have a taste test, and everything from people not knowing what the heck cider is, like hard cider, to very discerning customers who ask us questions that are hard to answer. And they want to get into the phenolics and the tannins and really complex questions that we will do our best to answer. And we're learning things as we go along. Also, there's some really sophisticated drinkers out there, and the joke is that you get people coming in there and asking for cider beer. Oh, I have one of those cider beers. And so we're having to educate them that, oh, okay, yeah, here you go. Here's your cider beer. No, we don't want to say cider beer ever because it's kind of misleading. But
it's not even their fault, right? Some of the big macro producers have come out with these apple beers in the past handful of years, right? Again, targeting those people that are considering switching to cider from, say, mass-produced beer. So no wonder people are confused about what is being made and what's actually in their can, right? Yeah,
it's a fine line to walk. We don't want to be teachy or tell people what they need to know. Here you go, just try this. It tastes good. See for yourself. And then most people seem to like it. They already can find one they like. And we have, so you're drinking the original, I'm drinking the hopped, which by the way is from local New Brunswick hops, which we're really proud of. And this one here is we used to put all our ciders in these bottles, these 500 ml bottles, but we just found it more efficient to go with the cans. But we still do our russet in this bottle. This is a russet cider, and it's a little sweeter because there's so much sugar in the russet apple. So there's a lot of residual sweetness in that cider. And so people that like a sweet cider, we've got something for them too.
Okay, awesome. And I think that's so important, right? To meet your customer where they are in their journey of appreciating a cider or appreciating any other type of beverage, right? You want to have something for people that are at different stages.
Yes.
I just want to do a couple shout outs here. We've got a couple folks. Driving Slate says he's cracked a yip already, and cheers to everybody.
Cheers.
RJ Mackay says dry cider all the way. So people
That's
are
on
and Dead Horse Cider says, is that Ron Burgundy? What an incredible mustache. Yes.
Yeah,
it is an incredible mustache.
So that guy is from Manitoba, Dead Horse Cider. I think he's the only cidery in Manitoba, and he's an awesome guy. So shout out to Dead Horse.
Cheers, Dead Horse.
Marcus. Hey, Marcus. Yeah, and he's calling me out for my mustache, which I've never had in my life. I grew one during this epidemic for fun and knew that no one would see it.
Well, and now everyone is seeing it. GM Cassidy says, I love your cider beers.
Sweet. Nice. Hey, you can call it whatever you want as long as you keep drinking them.
You know what? And I think that is so key to keeping a good spirit in these days, right? As we're trying to find new ways to reach our fans and reach our customers.
We got to keep good spirit.
Yeah. So I guess to that point, I know you guys have started some online stuff, some online sales. How can people get your product if for some reason they can't make it to an MB Liquor? Is there any other way for people to get Yip Cider?
Oh yeah, there sure is. That's a great question. Thanks for that. So just go to yipcider.ca and you can order online right from our website. So we have online purchasing from the website from yipcider.ca, and if you're in the St. John, Kingston Peninsula, Kennebecasis Valley area, we will deliver to you. Outside of that, we'll ship it. So we've shipped across Canada and beyond.
And do you find, have you guys had a good response since launching your online sales portal?
Yeah, it's not bad. There's been good support. People want to support local. That's what, is great for us and other local businesses. And it's, tough time. But having said that, like our sales are down, obviously. I think everyone's struggling during this time trying to figure out what to do. It's awesome what you're doing. You're figuring out a way to connect with people online. And now I know how to do this with Instagram. So that's pretty awesome. We've had some online orders and some local deliveries, and A&BL is still open. Like, I haven't actually been there since this started. Like, I've heard there's lineups there.
I mean, there are, but they seem to be going fairly quickly.
Yeah.
I don't go to the big stores. I live uptown here in St. John,
Right.
so I go to our little uptown store, and there's always a 10-minute lineup, but I don't know, you're in 5 minutes, or
Yeah.
it's not terrible. It's weird, but it's not terrible.
Yeah. Well, yeah, at least you can still, I mean, it's funny the stuff they're saying. Like I like the meme about our grandparents had to go serve their country, by getting on ships and going to fight in a war.
Yeah.
And we're being asked to stay home. I'm not trying to make a joke about Corona, but it's so you can put it in perspective, and it's maybe easier to do what they had to do, but it's still hard.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone is starting to struggle a little bit, right? We're 3 weeks in, at least here in New Brunswick, in a more formal lockdown situation. And, I think people are really looking to connect, which is why I'm so happy to be able to offer these virtual tours and give people an insight to what's going on at some of their favorite businesses. It's, if you look at any of the information coming out, right, we're now talking about we're not talking about weeks. We're now talking about months. We're not talking about weeks anymore. So it's really important that we figure out how to adapt to that and how to get how to get our products, how to stay in touch.
Yeah, and it's an essential service. If you're going to be home, you should be able to have a cider or a beer or a wine. They say cops can pull you over now just to make sure that people in the car should be there with you. And I don't think they need probable cause anymore. It's crazy times.
Yeah, it's people are being asked to call the tip line on their friends and neighbors and family, and right or wrong, we are in different times right now. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I think someone just asked a quick question, Hugh, so I want to jump back on here. Driving Slate is wondering if you will deliver to Grand Bay.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so Driving Slate, that is a yes. Grand Bay, definitely in the zone. And then we've got Heather Gavry says she loves Yip. We've got CB Squared 2 says they love Yip and love Huey.
That's funny. It's probably my girlfriend.
Oh, we've got someone asking here. I don't know if there's anywhere else. Care Morrison, where else is Yip Cider sold other than ANBL and online?
Ooh. Sean Doyle has it at Long Bay Brewery in Russet.
Okay. Long Bay Brewery in Russet.
Yeah.
Great.
You can get it at Long Bay, top of Mar Road. I'm sort of scrambling here because so many restaurants are closed and the pubs.
Yeah, because and nobody's doing growler refills anymore, because you used to have a few accounts that would fill growlers, but.
And we're at the Kingston Irving on the Kingston Peninsula, and various other agency stores, but we're not at all of them. And that's not my department. I wish that someone else was here to tell me which other agency stores had it. But I know Kingston has it, and I think they have it out by the airport.
Okay, so you're in a few agency stores. So, Carrie, hopefully one of those places are close enough to you, or you can pop online and order it from their store online directly, which I'm sure is probably better for you guys overall, right? Yeah, we're happy to deliver if it's not too far. And then Keith McDonald says the only thing better than Yip Haunt is Hugh's mustache.
Keith McDonald. Hello, Keith. I know that, man.
Oh my gosh, your mustache, I feel like, is getting more comments than all my other virtual tours combined.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
CB Squared 2 asks, is Yip still at Cochrane's?
Yes. Oh, yes, of course. Yeah. You can buy Yip at Cochrane's. Yeah, please go to Cochrane's and buy some Yip.
Please.
Please.
So maybe we're getting near the end of our time together. It goes pretty quickly. Maybe I'll ask, kind of looking forward, do you guys have anything in the pipeline or say in the tank? Anything new or different that you hope to release in the next little bit?
Yeah, so right behind me, you're looking at a couple tanks. Those are 2,000 liter tanks. We have just some good old faithfuls in there. And then there's another two with a couple ferments going. We do have a new product coming out this summer, but if I told you what it was, I'd probably be in a lot of trouble. So it's got to keep that under wraps, but we got a nice special treat.
Come on, buddy.
And actually, and you taught me this term, which I'd never heard. I probably was familiar with the concept, but I remember you were talking to me about being market ready for tours. And we do some tours, but you've been here and you've seen our operation. We hijacked our dad's garage. So he doesn't have access to his garage. It's full of cider tanks and CO2 and all kinds of gear. So we do have plans to build a new cidery and to give him his garage back. And and I feel like, I don't know if I answered some of your previous questions properly, but I'm trying to. He's mentioned the future and what looking forward. So I'll be talking to you and figuring out what we need to do to be market ready at the new spot, because we would like to offer tours, and where we are a remote setting, we need to bring people here. If we're going to bring a bus here, it should be worth their while. So that's something for them to do.
Yeah, no, and that's awesome. Congratulations that you guys are looking to make that expansion. Because you're right, you're rural, so you're a destination. So what can we do to make sure that people enjoy every aspect of destination tasting? So I would be happy to come out and have a cider and brainstorm your new future.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say, someone just mentioned, I forgot to ask, can you take us into the tank room? Give us a quick kind of 360 of what's going on behind you?
Yeah, I'm in the tank room now. So, let's see here. Is this the best way to do it, with me just having the tanks in the background?
Why don't you flip your camera around?
Flip it around. I can do that.
Yeah.
I think I can. I push the button. There we go.
There you go.
So what you're looking at now is a couple tanks that are covered in like thermal blankets. And we're heating up some juice some what we call soft cider. Just if you crush apples, the juice you get is soft cider, and this actually comes from some local guys up in Kedgwick Ridge, the Coburns. They didn't have a market for their soft cider at the Fredericton market because it closed. So we're fermenting some stuff in there. And then this odd looking tank that you're looking at now is a bright tank. So after the cider comes out of these tanks, these are just your standard, they'd be the same ones you'd see at a winery. It goes into, gets filtered and then goes into a bright tank. So in the bright tank, it can take pressure and be carbonated. So we have that bright tank, and we have these tanks here, and then we have another little bright tank there, and then we've got another holding tank there for cider. So I'll try to give you a more of a macro shot of the place. I'll stand in the back corner here.
So how much?
That's basically
how
it.
Much capacity for juice do you have? Are you like 12,000, 20,000?
Well, we have 5 2,000-liter tanks, and we have a 5,000-liter tank. But we can't have them all full at the same time because you got to move the liquid around, like when we're racking. So after all the yeast is done doing its magic, and they're called lees, the lees settle, and then you have to, so you pull the cider off the lees, all the dead yeast and stuff is in there, and then so you have to have an empty tank. So having said that, roughly if we were going flat out, we could, in theory, I guess have 8,000 liters fermenting at one time. Yeah.
I mean, that's a good amount of juice. That's a good amount.
It's they're pretty good sized tanks, but we'd like to have bigger ones because whether you have a small tank or a big tank, it's the same amount of work.
Right.
So, but we're quite happy with our setup the way it is right now. For now, anyway.
Well,
I should just show you, I guess, something behind these. These.
Oh.
3 on the other side is here. So we've got the hope. This is named after our great aunt who turned 100 2 years ago. I think she's 102 now.
Oh, wow.
101 or 102. I should know that. And then we have a blueberry cider, which we use blueberries from Charlotte County to flavor that with. And then we have our trip cider, which you're familiar with.
Yes, very familiar.
So for this one, we couldn't put New Brunswick passion fruit in there because no one grows passion fruit in New Brunswick because you can't. So Yip took a trip down south and got some passion fruit.
So Marissa just chimed in. She said, Hope is 102.
Thank you, Marissa. Marissa's awesome.
Yeah. Well, you guys need somebody to keep you in line, right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Definitely.
So, Hugh, D.A. Kimball, that's my mother-in-law, actually. She's wondering if your aunt still drinks cider.
She doesn't really drink much, but she did try it, and she gave it the nod of approval.
Good.
And I'll show you this too. This is not what the label says it is. It's not, what is it, mezcal or tequila? That's a tequila bottle from Mexico.
Yeah.
But what's in there is distilled cider. So this is like 40% alcohol. This would be like a spirit. And this is made from a buddy of mine in his garage. He has a still. So he made basically Calvados. If you or anyone listening is familiar with what Calvados is.
Yeah.
Comes from the Normandy region.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where you can't call it Calvados because it's not from Normandy. It's like champagne or Scotch. But this would, yeah, like a fire starter.
So that's kind of cool. Are you guys thinking working out a partnership maybe with a distiller, a licensed distiller, to do something like that down the road?
Well, that's a possibility. I mean, it's kind of a natural thing to do because you do have a little bit of spillage, or there's some things on canning day, we might have 2 buckets of leftover cider that we have to put into a tote, and it's a shame to just throw it down the drain. So if we collect enough of that, and if we can get, 500 liters or a good amount of hard cider that didn't make it into the can because of the foam over or whatnot, or more bottling, then we could make this stuff out of it. And or someone could. So you'll have to try some of this. That's my point.
I would love to try some of it. Absolutely. That cider party can't come quick enough.
Pardon me?
Said your next cider party can't come quick enough.
I know. We need to have a Zoom cider party, and hopefully, I'm optimistic that by August we can, but no one knows.
We're all kind of just floating along, trying to find our new way, right?
Yeah.
Well, that pretty much wraps up all of our time together, Hugh. Was there anything else that you wanted to mention or share while we've got people on the line?
Well, the only thing I didn't show you, I showed you the russet. I didn't show you the 4-pack. I think we have a 4-pack of little 355s also.
Oh, awesome! Wait, I forgot to ask. Do you guys are you in the grocery store program?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah. So we've been trying to, and AMBL's in the process of taking control of that. We just delivered our first order ever to Sobeys.
Yay!
Yeah. So
congratulations.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, we're pretty stoked about that because that might help us get through these times with increasing sales. So Sobeys in Ormucto has a big pallet full of Yip. So now the ball's in their court. Hopefully they've gotten it out, and it's in the Sobeys. I haven't heard that it's in the Sobeys in Russet yet, which is the one I would go to sometimes. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so you'll be able to buy Yip in Sobeys.
Okay, awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Hugh, for taking the time out of your busy week and holiday weekend to join me and to show everybody your space. And thank you. And thank you to everybody who has stuck with us to hang out and chat with Hugh and myself. Again, I'm Jillian with Uncorked Tours. We've been doing these virtual tours for the last couple of weeks, connecting you with the producers. We have set up a virtual tip hat online. If you want to go to our website, uncorkednb.com. You can throw a toonie in or a 20 in. Both are great, but if you throw $50 or more into our tip hat, we will give you a gift card, dollar for dollar, that you can use in our tasting room when we open in the city market in the summer, fingers crossed, or on a future Uncorked tour. So, Hugh, I wish you guys all the best of luck. I know you've got a lot of back-breaking work still to do, pruning the rest of the orchards.
Thanks so much. It's a really good thing you're doing. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. And yeah, as soon as we can get together again, I will come and enjoy a Yip on your beach.
That would be great. Okay, cheers, Phil.
Cheers.